Hey friends, I'm back. Finished my final set for the day. I'm gonna move on, but I just wanted to word of encouragement for you, and we'll pick this homesteading discussion up later. The costs and experiences, learning curves. We'll keep talking about this. Don't worry. But I want to leave you with word of encouragement, and it's not everything's got to be perfect to get started. You get started where you can with what you can, and there's still a lot you can do. And you know, get on YouTube, get on the Facebook groups, wherever else. And I mean, see what people are doing. And you might be people by you, might be able to trade days labor for use of a machine or something. I don't know. I mean, just connect. And as far as land goes, I've seen some different advice. People talking about you needing to buy the best land you can. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Water's access to water. You need to have some water. It doesn't do any good if you're someplace you can't get any water. There might be solutions if you can figure one out. Hey, that might be a real value to you then if you can figure out how to get water where there isn't any. But generally, you need good water. It's one of the things I liked about north central Nebraska. We still have reasonable rainfall and we have some groundwater. And along with water, we have access to grain. There's places there's dry, the soil's poor and rocky. And I mean, it's hard to do much to build it up. Our place is good enough that we've got enough grass growth that we can generate manure, and we can move the manure around a little bit while we collect out of the corral. Grazing comes off the best ground and the manure goes on the worst. And then we've always had some chickens and pigs, and sometimes we've had a lot of chickens and pigs. I think at the high point we had over 4,000 chickens on the place. The pigs, at the high point, we've had over 300, and we've done an awful lot of pig grazing. But yeah, at the same time, we were still buying feed in, and so there's a lot of manure. And I'll be honest, I haven't always done the best job getting it collected and spread. And I haven't always had the best equipment. Done an awful lot of work that way with a scoop and a pickup, and still do it that way sometimes. And you can do that. It takes time, and then other stuff's not getting done. It's the headache, of course. But it can be done, and you can build land up. You can build land up with grazing. I kind of like having a place that's got some productivity to it so we can run grazing animals, and hopefully we can adapt them to where they don't need grain, they don't need supplemental feed, and they can make a living off of our place. And if it's affordable, we can buy some hay in to feed them, or we can make it ourselves, whichever works out better. And we've certainly done both. But again, then that manure can go on that poor ground. We've got my dad's wood chipper now. We run all the branches stuff through. Turns out we need a bigger one to really be productive, but we turn that into bedding. We use junk hay. Sometimes we've bought straw. That doesn't go as far as you think it will. You drag a trailer load home with straw and use it up right away. So that's kind of frustrating, but we've done that, and that adds organic matter. Just letting a certain amount of old grass fall over on the pastures helps build the soil up right there in place. And of course, the cows or whatever else is out there grazing, they're busy dunging and urinating. And especially in the growing time of year, I mean, those nutrients are getting soaked up and they're going right into use. Or if it doesn't look like things are growing, hopefully the roots are grabbing hold of them and they're storing them for later. So there's a lot you can do. If you've got enough of a grazing operation, you can probably build things up without bringing in outside nutrients. Like I said, just graze them in the productive area, overnight them in the corral or some other place. Put a corral up on your poor ground, run them up there overnight, let them poop and pee there, and you'll build that spot up. You'll transfer those nutrients around. And, the soil's producing nutrients. The microbes are producing nutrients. This stuff's not stagnant. It's alive and working too. It's not dependent wholly on us. So what else? Yeah, and you're probably going to want some chickens. And if you eat pork, you're going to raise your own. And it produces a fair amount of manure. And you go spread that on your worst ground. And I'll just look at. Hopefully, you're all familiar with salads. If not, you look them up. Paul's Face Farms. Joel talks about this a lot. And when they moved onto the place in the '60s. 150 acre open spot. They've got 600 or 700 acres there at home, maybe more now. But much of that's timber, but the open ground was worn out crop ground, which they have in pasture, and they've built it up tremendously over the years. Grazing, feeding pasture pit chickens, that's probably the number one thing he described it to. You know, that chicken's doing a lot for you. I mean, if you're, most of us need to buy grain for the chickens. If you got a crop farm, great. If you got the ability to grow some grain, I'd recommend it. We keep meaning to and not getting to it, but we will sooner or later. But that chicken does a lot for you. I mean, the manure's rich, for one thing. But that chicken's picking up rocks and sand, and that chicken's gizzard then, it's using those little pieces of rock to grind its food up. Hopefully, y'all know that. And if you don't, now you do. But it's grinding that food up. And while it's grinding that food up, it's also grinding that rock down. And when it does that, it releases those minerals. And then some of your soil microbes and some of your earthworms, they're taking that rock too, that real fine rock from the chicken. They're able to take that and they further break it down, making the nutrients accessible to your soil. So you're fertilizing your soil with something that's already there. And so if you got to start with poor ground, don't be disheartened by it. You can build it up. Like I said, your wood ash from your stove. We were talking about the wood stove. Add that. You know, we usually use it in the garden. I probably overdo it, and sometimes we'll spread it on the pastures and stuff too, the poor areas. I mean, that's wonderfully mineral rich. Potassium and phosphorus, and on some calcium too. It's a pretty good source of calcium. A lot of you folks know these things better than I do. Please feel free to add to it in the comments or correct me. I don't always get everything right, so yeah. So what else? You know, basically at the end of it, manure is your best friend. Um, some people even use human manure. I leave it up to you whether to make that decision or not. What else? Yeah, manure. You're probably going to want some chickens. They're excellent. I tell you what, something I've thought about. You ever leave a pot of water or a swimming pool or something set up or a stock tank and you fill it up with clear water and it turns green? Where's that algae come from? I mean, what a miracle is that? Some plant colonizes the water, starts growing in there, nutrients in the water, and then it pulls out of the air. Well, guess what? That's organic matter too. So if we can turn around, feed that, or spread that on our poor soil, again, we're building it up. So yeah, if you've got to start with rocky soil, go for it. You can build it up. Manure is your best friend. Wood chips, straw, old hay. What else? Yeah. What else? Well, put it in the comments. You got other ideas. I want to hear them. Alrighty, friends. I know there's a couple things I'm missing, but I think I'm going to break and move on and find some dinner or some lunch, whatever you call your noon meal. Hey, put that in the comments. Noon meal, you call it lunch or you call it dinner where you're at. Alrighty, friends. We'll be back with more homesteading talk later. Everybody have a great day. Bye.